Remember the 1980s? A time of bold fashion, even bolder hair, and some choices that, let's just say, they didn't age like fine wine. So grab your Aquanet and get ready to cringe, because we're counting down the top 10 trends that time rightfully tried to make us all forget. Shoulder pads. If there's one fashion trend that truly defined the 1980s, it's shoulder pads. You couldn't turn on the TV, walk into an office, or flip through a catalog without seeing a blazer with shoulders wide enough to land a plane on. But shoulder pads weren't just a style statement, they were a power move. In a decade where more women were entering the workforce, fashion became armor. Wearing a structured suit with sharp shoulder pads told the world, "I'm just as capable, just as strong, and I belong in this boardroom." Icons like Margaret Thatcher and Joan Collins on Dynasty made the look legendary. But over time, the look went from fierce to, well, kind of funny, as the pads got bigger and more cartoonish. Shoulder pads, the fastest way to look like a linebacker who was late for a board meeting. The mullet, perhaps the most mocked and strangely beloved hairstyle of the entire 1980s. If you didn't live through it, you might think it was just for hockey players or small-town rockers. But you'd be way off. The mullet was everywhere, crossing social lines, music genres, and even professions. From school teachers to pop stars, the message was clear. Short and neat in the front, long and wild in the back. That iconic phrase, "business in the front, party in the back," wasn't just a joke. It was the ethos of an era. Today, the mullet is mostly a punchline or a retro party wig, but you have to give the 80s credit. The mullet had guts. The mullet, the haircut that tried to be everything to everyone, and somehow ended up looking like two different people got into a fight on your head. Aqua Net hairspray. The towering hairstyles of the 1980s didn't just happen. They were engineered. And the secret weapon behind every sky-high bang and gravity-defying wave? One word, Aqua Net. This wasn't just hairspray. It was practically industrial strength. One spray could freeze a curl in place for hours. Two sprays, and your hair wasn't moving all day. We all dreamed of looking like our favorite pop stars, but more often than not, the result was less music video, fabulous, and more helmet made of hair. And let's not forget the smell. That unmistakable Aquanet scent would hit you like a ton of bricks. Aquanet. Because your hair should be as flammable as your fashion choices, and just as immovable as your belief that the mullet was a good idea. Awkward family portraits. Back in the 1980s, getting a family portrait wasn't casual. It was an event. You had to dress up, fix your hair, and head to a professional photo studio. And, oh boy, the results were unforgettable. Think teased up hair stacked sky high, shoulder pads that could rival a linebacker's, and sweaters so loud they practically screamed. But what really pushed these portraits into cringe-worthy territory were the awkward poses. Floating heads superimposed over serious stares, hands on shoulders in the stiffest possible way, and everyone looking like they were auditioning for a cheesy soap opera. Some families even color-coordinated their outfits, making them look like backup dancers for a Huey Lewis video. 80s family portraits, where love was measured by the height of your mom's hair and the sheer awkwardness of your dad's pose. Acid-wash jeans. Nothing says, "I survived the 80s" quite like a pair of denim that looks like it lost a fight with a bucket of bleach. For a while, it felt like everyone was wearing them. These jeans were bold, loud, a little bit punk, and a little bit glam. The mottled, high-contrast look made it seem like your jeans had been through something and came out cooler on the other side. They came in all styles, tight-fitting, baggy, high-waisted, and were often paired with oversized jackets or neon tops. And yes, if you were feeling really wild, you'd pair them with more acid-wash denim. Double denim was a thing, and the bolder the wash, the better. Acid-wash jeans, the official uniform for people who wanted their pants to look as distressed as their parents were by their music choices. Feeling that cringe-worthy nostalgia yet? If you're enjoying this trip down a very questionable memory lane, do us a favor and hit that like button. And if you haven't already, subscribe so you don't miss more deep dives into the trends that defined a generation. Sweaters draped over shoulders, the ultimate 80s symbol of prep school privilege. The sweater not worn, but draped oh so carefully over the shoulders. It didn't matter if it was 80 degrees outside or snowing sideways. If you were part of the preppy crowd, you knew the drill. Instead of wearing sweaters the normal way, fashion-forward elites of the decade treated them like oversized scarves. Tied loosely around the neck, it became more of a statement piece than a source of warmth. That sweater around the neck move screamed, "I'm classy, I'm confident, and I probably go to an Ivy League school." Looking back though, it's a bit confusing. If it's cold, just wear the sweater. If it's hot, why bring it at all? The draped sweater, because nothing says I'm prepared for a sudden mild chill, quite like a sweater you have absolutely no intention of ever actually putting on. Pastel Suits, the Miami Vice effect. Let's be honest, on Miami Vice, pastel suits looked incredible. Don Johnson's Crockett could pull off pale pinks, baby blues, and soft lavenders like he was born for it. The open collars, the effortless cool, it just worked on screen. But for the rest of us, not so much. Inspired by the show, everyday folks tried to bring that pastel swagger into their own wardrobes. Unfortunately, instead of looking like TV detectives chasing criminals on South Beach, most of us ended up looking like we were headed to a wedding reception in a soap opera. This look was so tied to the show that you couldn't wear a pastel suit without someone joking, "Hey, where's your speedboat, Crockett?" Pastel suits in the 80s were a perfect example of a look that should have come with a warning. Professional stunt driver on a closed course. Do not attempt. Geometric patterned shirts. In the 1980s, nothing shouted louder than those wild geometric patterned shirts. They were bright, bold, and absolutely bursting with clashing shapes, zigzags, and colors that could practically give you a headache. These shirts looked less like clothing and more like walking pieces of abstract art. And somehow, the crazier the pattern, the higher the price, with some of these chaotic masterpieces selling for hundreds, even thousands of dollars. Today, these shirts are a guaranteed hit at any 80s themed party, but if you wear one on a regular Tuesday, don't be surprised if people think you stepped out of a time machine. Geometric shirts, the perfect way to look like a math textbook threw up on you, but in a fashionable, abstract way. Subtlety was not included. Parachute pants. Let's clear something up right away. Parachute pants are not the same as MC Hammer pants. While Hammer rocked those big billowy trousers in the early 90s, parachute pants from the mid-80s were a different beast altogether, tight-fitting, shiny, and made almost entirely of nylon. The name came from the material, which was like that used to make actual parachutes. Originally designed for functionality and breakdancing, these pants quickly became a street fashion staple. Suddenly, you didn't need to be a b-boy spinning on cardboard to wear them. All you needed was confidence and maybe a Walkman blasting Run DMC. Parachute pants were the ultimate way to say, "I've got moves," even if your only move was swishing loudly down the school hallway. Lace fingerless gloves, the Madonna look. Thanks to Madonna, one of the oddest yet most iconic fashion items of the 80s was born: fingerless lace gloves. Elegant, edgy, and incredibly impractical? Yes, to all three. These delicate, often black or white gloves became the ultimate accessory for teens who wanted to look rebellious and romantic. You'd see them paired with fishnet tops, teased hair, and that unmistakable material girl attitude. Suddenly, gloves weren't just for church or winter, they were for style, baby. But let's face it, they weren't all that comfortable and were useless against the cold. Still, they made a statement. Lace fingerless gloves, for when you want your hands to be fancy, but not, warm or fully functional. And there you have it, 10 of the cringiest trends that made the 80s so unforgettable. Which of these did you proudly rock back in the day, and which one makes you cringe the most now? Let us know in the comments below. If this trip down memory lane made you laugh, please give this video a thumbs up, and be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next adventure into the past. Thanks for watching.